Welcome to Neyland Stadium here on Sports Radio WNML. I'm Vince Ferrara alongside Josh Ward. I don't know what we just saw, but it's unbelievable for Vols fans right now. The streak has been snapped, as improbable as it looked, as Tennessee comes from 21-0 down to win 38-28. Josh will get into some of the details, but how do you explain what we witnessed with that Vols comeback?
Never in doubt, I would say, for Tennessee there, Vince. I thought before the game pretty confidently that Tennessee would win the game. I did not think confidently at 21-0 Florida that Tennessee would come back to win the game. But it really was a game of two different games in the first half and the second half, and Tennessee was a dominant team on both sides of the football, I thought, in the second half. And you could probably pick a side that you think was more important for leading the way, but they both really had to happen. Talking about Tennessee's offense and defense, Derek Barnett was incredible in the way that he played. And I thought going in that was something that had to happen, and it did in the second half. But execution was not there in the first half. It was in the second. And playmakers that struggled, made mistakes, mental mistakes, they didn't in the second half, and they turned those into big plays for Tennessee.
You know, Butch Jones in the postgame really didn't talk about anything in terms of strategy. It was more, hey, we executed, we didn't panic, and said, hey, this is an example that this team is very resilient.
Well, in the first half, I mean, Florida was outplaying Tennessee, and there were some great calls by Florida's coaches, but you know, if Jason Kroom catches a ball in the end zone after Antonio Callaway's drop punt, that is a touchdown for Tennessee. And at that point, assuming everything else goes the same way, it's 21-10 instead of 21-3. Things feel different there. Ethan Wolf with some drops, Josh Malone with one. So they were adding up. It was almost difficult to count them by the time Tennessee got to halftime. That wasn't there in the second half. Big plays by Juwan Jennings. Ethan Wolf had a touchdown catch. Jalen Hurd as well. All of that added up for the better for Tennessee in the second half.
What do you think of Florida? Do you think they backed off and let up a little bit, maybe overconfident in that third quarter?
It appeared that way, and I get the idea of, hey, come out, run the football. Tennessee was banged up at linebacker. A lot of guys that really hadn't played linebacker in meaningful snaps, they're out there on the field, so you think, okay, let's run at them. But the defensive line, which I thought would dominate the first half, did in the second half, and that was the difference, I thought, to really get things going. Tennessee was able to get 3-and-out stops, and Florida couldn't do anything offensively, and the aggressive approach that Florida had immediately in the first half, throwing deep left to Antonio Callaway, that wasn't there in the second half. And then Florida clearly got rattled once Tennessee came back. A bad pick by Austin Appleby after Tennessee has really stormed back when he scrambles, throws it in the open field, and Tennessee took advantage.
Third biggest comeback in Tennessee football history, tied for it at 21 points. It looked really bad for Butch Jones, and we know how much this meant for Butch Jones and all the criticism he would have taken had they won this game. Now that Tennessee has won this game and he has this on his resume, what does this mean for Butch Jones?
It reverses all of those first half and halftime feelings that Tennessee had, which weren't good. If we opened up a show at halftime, open phone lines, I promise it is a bizarro conversation compared to what we're having now. Now, I would also say that going into this Georgia game, it's very important, and there will probably still be some questions about, hey, what was going on in that first half? What if it happens against Georgia on the road and you have to come back again? You don't want to be in that situation, but this was such a monster win for Butch Jones, for the players. There also can be a mental lift here. You don't have this pressure that hangs over you that was clearly there going into the Florida game. The players knew that it was there. I think there's a sense of relief for them to get this win, too.
I think it's so huge for the fans, too, to take that next step and separate from the 8 years of frustration, sort of maybe a symbolic flush for them. What about for the fans and what this can mean for them moving forward in their, not only their belief in Butch Jones, but in their belief that this could be a special season?
Yeah, I don't know if fans know what to think right now, but it's a huge lift for them as well, and it has been an incredibly difficult run when you look back at not just this streak with Florida, but so much that goes into it, and the coaching changes, all of that. So the fans deserve this. I think the fans have been terrific with a lot of these big home games that went the other way. Florida a couple of years ago, Oklahoma last year. The fans have been very supportive. I thought played a big role in the Georgia comeback, and fans stuck around. I wondered, would some fans leave at halftime? They didn't. Fans had been terrific leading up to this game, and I thought played a role in the second half for Tennessee too.
Last thing, a lot of backups played. You mentioned it, Colton Jumper. We had a linebacking core one time of Bates, Bynum, and Batuli. Actually, it was Gavin Bryant in at one time. A lot of backups had to play in this game. Buchanan, so many. Keep going down the line. Chance Hall was back. What do you think of some of those reserves that maybe showed Tennessee has better depth than in the depth that Butch Jones has been talking about?
Well, there were depth concerns, right, at linebacker especially, but these are guys that Butch Jones and the staff recruited, and it would be for occasions like this. So I question greatly, would these guys be able to hold up? They did. So, Balin Buchanan, he's received rave reviews since he arrived in August. That's a good sign for him. They're going to need him. Cam Sutton's out for a long time, so they'll need him as well. Jalen Reeves-Maben, that's still a big question moving forward. What's his health status?
We will discuss it, breaking down in much more detail on Sports Radio WNML throughout all next week leading up to the Georgia game. And, of course, you can get a lot more coverage here at sportsradiownnml.com. Follow us on Twitter as well at Sports Radio WNML. Same on Instagram as well. Tennessee comes back from down 21-0 to win 38-28 over the Florida Gators. The streak is snapped here September 24, 2016 in Knoxville. For Josh Ward, Blake Hatfield, and our Sports Radio WNML crew, I'm Vince Ferrara. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks.